Earlier this morning, February 3rd, 2026, the computer hardware market hit a breaking point. We aren't just looking at another price hike. We are witnessing a permanent restructuring of the silicon market. Reports from board channels and major manufacturers in Taiwan confirm that both NVIDIA and AMD have officially initiated their second round of cost adjustments for the first quarter. The data confirms a terrifying trend. High-speed memory like GDDR7 is now in such short supply that its cost alone represents nearly 80% of a GPU's total manufacturing cost. To put that in perspective, just 2 years ago, memory was only a small fraction of that cost. Now, it is the entire game. The AI tax isn't just a buzzword anymore. It is the price of admission for a future where gaming and local creation are being treated as secondary leftovers. Why is this happening? Because the world's memory suppliers have made a cold, hard calculation. A single AI data center order is worth more to them than 10 million consumer graphics cards. We've reconstructed the supply chain data, and the leak is clear. Manufacturers are reallocating 40% of the chips originally destined for GeForce and Radeon lines into high-margin AI accelerators. This creates an artificial scarcity. When distributors see these price hikes coming, they hoard inventory to protect their margins, which spikes retail prices even higher. This is why the RTX 5090 card that launched as a premium product is now mathematically on track to hit $5,000 by December. If you are waiting for a sale, you aren't just fighting inflation. You are fighting the entire AI infrastructure of 2020. But the pressure isn't just coming from the cloud. It's coming from the devices in our pockets. Last week at Davos, OpenAI confirmed their partnership with Jony Ive is hitting the market in the second half of this year, codenamed Sweetpea. This device uses a custom 2nm chip designed to run ChatGPT locally. Think about the math. OpenAI is targeting 50 million units in year one. Apple is reportedly testing its own AI pin to compete. Every one of these new screenless devices requires the same high-performance memory that your graphics card needs. The hardware war has moved from the desktop to the body, and your gaming rig is the first casualty of this new era of ambient computing. To understand why your next computer might cost as much as a used car, we have to look deeper into the silicon supply chain. The three titans of memory, Samsung, Micron, and SK Hynix, essentially shifted their entire business models. In 2024, these companies were competing for your business in the consumer market. Today, they are locked in a bidding war with cloud providers like Microsoft and Amazon. Every single wafer of high-bandwidth memory that could have gone into a gaming card is being redirected to massive AI training clusters. This is a zero-sum game. For every AI model that gets smarter, the hardware available to the average person gets scarcer and more expensive. We are seeing the emergence of a two-tier society. On one side, you have the compute-rich corporations and elite researchers who own the hardware necessary to run local private intelligence. On the other side, you have the compute-poor, the billions of users who are being forced into subscription-based cloud models because they can no longer afford the entry price of high-end silicon. This is the true meaning of the AI tax. It isn't just a one-time fee at the checkout counter. It is a permanent barrier to digital sovereignty. If you don't own the hardware, you don't own the intelligence it produces. You are simply renting a brain from a trillion-dollar company. Let's look at the leaked production schedules from the Foxconn facilities in Guangzhou. While the world is distracted by the latest smartphone features, the factory floors are being retooled for something entirely different. The assembly lines for the rumored Sweetpea device are unlike anything seen in the smartphone era. Sources within the supply chain describe a manufacturing process that is closer to high-end jewelry than traditional electronics. The device uses a singular unibody titanium chassis designed to dissipate heat without the need for fans or vents. This is necessary because the custom 2nm chip inside is designed to run at peak performance for hours on end, processing your environment in real time. But OpenAI isn't just competing with Apple. They are competing with the very idea of an interface. In the Sweetpea blueprint, there is no screen to look at and no glass to break. The interaction is entirely ambient. It uses bone conduction technology and advanced spatial audio to whisper information directly into your ear, making it feel less like a gadget and more like an extension of your own thoughts. This is the calm computing philosophy that Jony Ive has been chasing for decades. By removing the screen, they remove the friction between the user and the AI, but they also remove the user's ability to easily see what data is being collected and sent back to the cloud. Apple's response to this is a masterclass in defensive engineering. The leaked Apple AI pin isn't just a wearable, it is a privacy statement. While OpenAI is leaning into the convenience of the cloud, Apple is doubling down on on-device processing. The Apple Pin is reportedly equipped with a dedicated neural engine that can handle complex language tasks without an internet connection. This is their walled garden strategy, evolved for the AI era. They want to convince you that your life is too private to be processed by a third-party startup, even one led by Sam Altman. However, the hardware requirements for this kind of on-device intelligence are staggering. To run a high-level language model locally on a device the size of an AirTag requires a level of power efficiency that hasn't been achieved yet in the consumer market. This is where the two stories converge. The reason your desktop graphics card is getting more expensive is that the same low-power, high-performance memory needed for your PC is now being miniaturized for these new AI wearables. The demand is infinite, but the supply of high-purity silicon is strictly limited. We are entering what analysts call the Great Silicon Reallocation. For 30 years, the trajectory of tech was about making hardware more powerful and more affordable for everyone. That era is over. In 2026, hardware is becoming a luxury asset. We are seeing the Rolexification of electronics. High-end PCs and advanced AI wearables are becoming status symbols, not just for their brand names, but for the raw compute power they represent. If you own a device that can run a 40 billion parameter model locally, you are among the global elite. Think about the psychological impact of this shift. For the last decade, we've been told that the future is in the cloud. But as the cloud becomes more centralized and more expensive, the value of local is skyrocketing. This is the architect's perspective. We don't just look at the shiny new products, we look at the scarcity that drives their value. The $5,000 graphics card isn't a mistake or an accident of the market. It is a signal. It is telling us that the cost of digital independence is rising. For the average consumer, this is a difficult pill to swallow. We've grown accustomed to the idea that technology always gets cheaper. But when the same raw materials used for your leisure are also the building blocks of the most powerful intelligence in human history, the price will always be dictated by the highest bidder. And right now, the highest bidders are not gamers or content creators. They are the architects of the new AI world order. As we move toward the second half of 2026, the tension between these two worlds will only increase. We will see more hardware shortages, more priority access lotteries, and more devices that are designed to be sold as luxury goods. The Sweetpea launch will likely be the most exclusive hardware release in history, with waitlists that stretch for months. Apple will respond with a premium Pro version of their AI pin that costs more than a base model iPhone. This is the new reality. We are no longer just buying tools. We are competing for a limited supply of intelligence-enabling hardware. As we move deeper into this hardware crisis, the most important question for any creator or gamer isn't just why this is happening, but how you can survive it. If the traditional path of buying a new graphics card every 2 years is dead, we have to look at the strategies that the compute-rich elite are already using to stay ahead of the curve. The first rule of the 2026 hardware war is simple: don't throw anything away. We are entering the era of the circular hardware economy. In the past, a 3-year-old graphics card was considered e-waste or a budget hand-me-down. Today, that same card is a strategic asset. Because inference workloads, the process of actually running an AI model rather than training ETAR, much more tolerant of older hardware. Your previous generation cards are still incredibly valuable. An older card that is suboptimal for high-end gaming can still run a medium-sized language model with surprising efficiency if the software is optimized. This is why we are seeing a massive surge in the secondary market for 20 series and 30 series cards. Even as the retail prices for 50 series cards hit $5,000, the value of legacy silicon is being propped up by the sheer demand for local inference. If you have an old card sitting in a drawer, you aren't holding onto trash. You are holding onto a localized intelligence engine. But what if you actually need new power? This is where the debate between local and cloud computing becomes a fight for financial survival. In 2026, the difference between a well-architected cloud system and a poorly designed one isn't just about performance. It's about whether your business or your hobby remains viable. The cloud giants like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft want to move everyone to a consumption-based model. They want you to pay for exactly what you use when you use it. On the surface, this sounds efficient. No upfront hardware costs, no maintenance, and instant scalability. But as we've seen with the rising AI tax, those power costs are being adjusted upward as the demand for their data centers grows. For a professional content creator or an AI developer, relying entirely on the cloud is like renting your own brain. Every time you want to think, create, or render, you have to pay a toll to a trillion-dollar company. The architect's strategy for 2026 is a hybrid approach. You own your baseline capacity. You invest in the best local hardware you can afford to handle your daily steady-state workloads. This gives you compute sovereignty. Then, and only then, do you burst to the cloud for your peak demands or massive training jobs that your local rig can't handle. By owning 60 to 70% of your needed capacity, you insulate yourself from the fluctuating prices of the cloud and the availability lotteries that are becoming common in 2020. We also have to talk about the maintenance revolution. If you are lucky enough to own a high-end graphics card today, you need to treat it like a vintage sports car. The days of run it until it dies are over because a replacement might not be available at any price. We are seeing a massive increase in professional GPU repair and refresh services. People are now routinely sending their cards in for professional repadding, repasting, and even VRAM upgrades where possible. Specialized shops are appearing that can swap out failing memory modules or upgrade a card's thermal solution to extend its life by another 3 to 4 years. In 2026, longevity is the most important spec on any hardware datasheet. The software side of this war is just as intense. Before you add more hardware, you have to maximize what you already have. We are seeing the rise of highly optimized runtimes and compression techniques that allow massive models to run on surprisingly modest hardware. Techniques like page detention and model quantization are allowing 2026 users to do more with less. If you are running an unoptimized model on your GPU, it's like driving a Ferrari in first gear. It's wasteful, it's inefficient, and in this market, it's a financial mistake. The goal is to move beyond simple model serving and adopt a true AI platform approach, even on a home PC. This brings us to the rise of edge AI and the forgotten sites. As the massive data centers in Virginia and Dublin reach their power limits, the industry is looking toward edge locations. We are seeing old, smaller facilities being repurposed as local inference nodes. This is the silicon reallocation in physical form. The same trend is happening in our homes. Your smart fridge, your thermostat, and even your light switches are being marketed as AI-enabled. But be careful. In many cases, these are just thin clients designed to tether you to a subscription service. A true AI architect looks for devices that can run their logic locally without a mandatory connection to a corporate server. As we look toward the end of 2026, the tension between the compute-rich and the compute-rich will only intensify. We will see more priority access tiers where you have to pay a premium just for the right to buy a graphics card. We will see hardware-as-a-service models where you never actually own the GPU in your desk. You simply pay a monthly lease to NVIDIA or a third-party provider. This is the ultimate goal of the AI tax, to turn hardware from a product you own into a service you rent. To stay ahead, you must be proactive. If you see a high-value refurbished laptop or a previous generation workstation card, don't hesitate. The price isn't going to get lower in the long run. Even if the raw component prices stabilize, the demand from the AI giants will keep the retail prices at an all-time high. Renting equipment can be a good short-term option for specific projects, but for long-term survival, ownership is the only path to digital independence. The blueprint for 2026 is about more than just silicon. It's about strategy. It's about knowing when to buy, when to fix, and when to pivot. It's about understanding that the same raw materials used for your entertainment are now the most valuable resource on the planet. The hardware war isn't just coming. It's already here, and it has fundamentally changed the rules of the game. Stay analytical, stay sovereign, and most importantly, stay vigilant. I am the AI architect, and this has been your blueprint for surviving the great hardware reallocation.